Hi, my name's Andy. I live in Harleysville, Pennsylvania. And you can see behind me is the wall that Chris just recently repaired. And it goes all the way from that corner to wrapping around the foyer entrance. And it was only a couple of weeks ago where we said we wanted to get a stucco test done so we could understand, if there's any problems, if down the road we decide to sell or something. And sure enough, this one side of the house did have issues. The other sides are masonry, so no problems. But this side was an addition done by a prior owner about 15 years ago, and it had failed substrate readings. So as a typical process, I reached out to a couple of contractors, and that first impression, Chris was one of the few that just immediately responded. And even that was common throughout the whole process. So, in other cases, you had to call and say, where's the estimate? Any luck on the proposal? Have you made it out to the house yet? No. With Chris, it was, showed up right away, got information right away. Any questions I had, answered them right away. I did use the inspector kind of as a third-party oversight to just check on the quality of the work that was being proposed. And, it was right from the inspector as well to say, nope, he's using the top materials, he's doing it right, he's not just building to the bare minimum, he's trying to use, to do it the right way. So as you can see, this project behind was only about 2 weeks worth of effort. It was incredibly well orchestrated. I couldn't believe it. Right away, a dumpster comes out, scaffolding goes up, the stucco guys start, they take the stucco off. I will say it was shocking to see the rot that can happen in wood. But right away, the carpenters came out, and what I liked about it too was, besides just the orchestration, if they saw anything, they just immediately fixed it. If there was rotted, if there was a joist that needed to be cisterned with a brand new joist, they would do it. Like I said, any of the OSB. The other part that was nice was there was no surprises. I was really worried about this process being nickel and dimed and say, oh, that's another $500, that's another $1,000. No, every time Chris was like, don't worry, it's covered, we'll handle that, we'll do it right. And, and you could see that was the mindset, as if they were working on their own house. They always just tried to do it the right way. So yeah, the orchestration was impressive, start to finish. And like I said, it got done in almost 2 weeks' time. And it was all the little things too. Every day they would start off with putting down tarps, putting down 4x8 sheets of plywood to protect the driveway, to protect the shrubs, to protect the patio and the walkways. And then you come home at night, it was perfectly cleaned up as if nobody was here. And I had still full use of the driveway and getting in and out of the house. So that too is like the little things. They really, really want to make sure I wasn't inconvenienced or my family wasn't inconvenienced. It is the holiday season, so it's just the last thing on your mind is having that extra stress. Completely took it away. Even the cleaning up of the mulch beds when they were done, just to make sure everything looks, really, really nice. So again, thoroughly impressed from start to finish. I work on various projects throughout this house, and I always look for getting multiple estimates. Probably a little crazy around that standpoint, and very fair price. I had much higher estimates. I had much lower estimates. Chris was right there in the middle. And I also checked out referrals, multiple names that he had given. I called them up and I had those conversations, and it was wild. Every conversation was the same. They were all impressed with the responsiveness, the orchestration, the attention to the details and doing the right job. So, I also checked out the materials he was using and made sure that they were the top of the line materials. So yeah, his estimates were extremely fair. And like I said, I had no surprises throughout the whole process. Again, it wasn't just OSB board. The windowsills, some of the windowsills were damaged. Some of the frames around, the entire frame around the window had to be replaced. Again, had the carpenters out, they take the windows out, they replace the windowsills with all, and then put everything back together again. So, like I said, for a homeowner, it's kind of shocking, like, oh, here we go. But again, just he took it with stride and replaced everything and did it well. Again, I had the inspector that did the initial evaluation come out and just monitor the work as well, and also couldn't say enough positive things about the quality of the work. It's very easy for something like that, for a contractor to hide something behind and not fix it. But every time, he would bring the attention. He took pictures throughout so I could see what they were working on and also see the replacement work that they did. Of course, I tried to stop by as often as I could and check on it. And again, it was never had an issue. We talk about the outside of the house because of all the pushing, pulling out of the stucco and the damaged wood. On the inside of the house, there was, call it cracks or some nail pops. Even something like that, I thought of, I'll just spackle later and take care of and paint the wall. Right away, he proactively reached out and said, I'm going to help take care of the stuff on the inside if there's any kind of, again, nail pops or cracks. And sure enough, as soon as everything was done, a painter came out, did all the spackling, caulking, touched everything up, painted the walls. It's as if nothing ever happened. Again, not something I was even expecting. And I'm not even sure. I did look back at the proposal to see if it talked about that kind of stuff, and it wasn't even in there. And yet, he took care of it with no extra charge, and the inside of the house looks just as nice as the outside. One other thing that, obviously Chris is the front face, and he's the one that you're mainly talking to. But again, I stayed home for a couple of days because it's such a big job. The crew couldn't be friendlier. Very easy to talk to. They were always out here, polite and you could tell they know their job. They do it well. And like I said, if they did run into anything, they quickly, explain it to me, or they reach out to Chris. So, and again, I hate to say cleanliness, but the way they really took care not to damage anything, and they could have just dragged stuff across, but they would use wheelbarrows across plywood to make sure that, again, everything stayed really nice when they were done. So, no issues, no trash laying around. You work with other contractors, you would never know these guys were here at the end of the day. Other than seeing scaffolding up on the house, you're like, wow, it's just incredible how fast and how good, skilled they are at their job.